Saturday Night Live is now over, but we're just getting started here on Saturday Night Live on post-show recaps. And now, here are the two guys who are about to drop the bass. No, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Rob Cesternino and Rich Tackenberg are here. Rich, how are you?
I'm good, good. Rob, on Twitter, are you and I known as Tweedledee and Tweedledong? Because I'd like to get that going if we could.
Sure.
I'll be the one who did not get the penis. I'm okay with that.
Okay. Rich, very excited to talk with you Saturday Night Live here on a Sunday. No waiting.
Let's get to it. Absolutely. I can't hold it until Monday. We got to talk SNL.
All right, so we have a lot to get to here tonight. It was the season finale. Rich and I are going to talk about everything that happened in the episode. We're talking about maybe doing a season recap podcast somewhere down the road. Probably not this week, maybe into next week, but talk about our thoughts going into the off season and everything. Rich, I was thinking I'd like to do like a season preview podcast, like beforehand. I feel like that would be fun to hear our predictions for the season.
Ooh, I like that prediction. Absolutely, yes.
What we screwed up on. Okay, but let's get into it. We got the chat room going on postshowrecaps.com, and of course we're taking your tweets, hashtag PSRecaps, and then we'll take your comments on our YouTube channel on postshowrecaps.com/YouTube. Busy night for me on the podcasting. If you're following Post Show Recaps and Rob has a website.com, it's the Amazing Race finale. Gonna have that podcast later, and then Game of Thrones live after Game of Thrones, 10:15 p.m. Eastern. 7:15 p.m. Pacific. All right, Andy Samberg comes back, Rich. Were you pumped up for the return of Andy Samberg?
I mean, I wasn't, because, you know, as many people talked about and Andy really joked about even in the monologue, you know, he's known for his digital shorts, but he really does not have a lot of reoccurring live characters. So I was more like, oh, okay, it'll be an alumni reunion show, but there wasn't a lot about Andy Samberg that I was looking forward to. I was probably most interested to see whether the digital shorts would live up to the hype or not. And as we did expect, it was really a night of cameos. That was really the big story.
Yeah, so there was a lot of fun moments. I didn't think that there were too many great Andy Samberg moments in the show. And I actually felt like it was a little too soon for Andy Samberg to come back. I know he won the Golden Globe, Rich, but to me this felt like a little bit of an elongated victory lap for me.
Although, don't you feel like we had Kristen Wiig came back, you know, less than a year after she left the show, so this is a little bit less than her. I didn't mind him coming back so much. I was bummed that we didn't have any Brooklyn Nine-Nine alumni, you know, making the rounds with him. That would have been fun to see a Terry Crews or an Andre Brower show up in a sketch, because, by the way, I think Brooklyn Nine-Nine is probably one of my favorite comedies of the year. So I was bummed that didn't get represented, but I didn't mind having him back.
For me, I felt like Kristen Wiig was such a Hall of Fame SNL person. For her to go away, and the show made such a big deal about her leaving, for her to come back, I felt like was a bigger deal. And even though Andy Samberg's been gone for 2 years, feels like only 1 year to me.
That's true. That's true. You know, as soon as you see a digital short, you're like, oh, you know, I don't miss this as much as I thought I did.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get into it, and let's talk about a sketch that even my wife predicted, Rich, that the Jay-Z and Solange, am I pronouncing that right? Solange?
Sure. Solange? I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. So Jay-Z and his sister-in-law, they're giving a press conference.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. We've talked about this a little bit, and I think that I'd love to spend a little time talking about this when we do a season recap show. This was really the epitome of them trying to cover what 7 late-night shows and 100 comedy websites had already done by 11:29 p.m. on Saturday night. So, you know, fun to see the Jay-Z impression, great to see Shashir. You know, Keenan, sometimes I think less is more with Keenan, so I liked his role in there, and we'll talk about the cameo at the end. But you know what? It's just nothing. We didn't see anything that we haven't seen already. They didn't break any new ground on this, so it almost felt obligatory. Like, of course they're going to open with this, but I think the bar is so much higher for SNL when you're doing a story that broke on a Monday on a Saturday night in 2014, and I think that SNL is a little tone deaf to that.
Did you appreciate Bobby Moynihan's performance here?
I love seeing Bobby. Bobby doing a little breakdancing in an elevator. I'll take that. That wasn't bad.
Okay, so you alluded to the cameo. So we have We go from everything with Jay-Z and the sister, and then finally we go back to the Beyonce well, only 2 weeks after the Bajancy, and here comes Maya Rudolph.
Yeah, I'm amazed that we didn't predict a Maya Rudolph showing last week when we talked about our predictions for this week, given that Lorne Michaels is producing her special, which airs Monday night, tomorrow night at 10 o'clock on NBC. So it makes total sense that she would show up with a fellow alumni to promote her show. Always funny. I think Maya Rudolph was one of the great cast members. Her hosting 2 years ago was, I think, one of the best episodes of the season. She's doing everything at 11 when she does a cameo. She doesn't do anything at 9. It's all at 11. But, fun return and gave it really nice energy.
Are you pumped up for the Maya Rudolph variety show? Have you heard anything? Is there any buzz, Rich?
There is a lack of buzz. There is no buzz. No, I've seen the commercials, and it makes me go, okay, I'll record it and then see what people say.
10 p.m. on a Monday?
Yeah, very odd
on
timing.
NBC?
Yeah, I mean, it would probably be funnier than The Blacklist, which is the time frame. So I don't know if that's the best endorsement ever, but it will be much funnier than The Blacklist. A lot of good cameos. I love that Chris Parnell is going to be on, because who thinks of him as casting, but I think he's hilarious. So it'll be one of those things we'll record and watch later.
That would be pretty good praise, because what they say is that The Blacklist, James Spader is actually funnier than James Spader on The Office.
Well, that's not hard to do at all. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, anything else from the monologue?
I'll mention this dropping in, and we'll move on.
I'm sorry, not the monologue.
The cold open. How interesting that Sashir, and a total newcomer, got to say live from New York 3 weeks in a row. I actually think that I'm going to move her way up on my call for the featured player power ranking. I think she could be #1 right now. I think she could be above Beck Bennett in the horse races, when at the very end the horse holds from mid-pack and takes the lead by a nose. I think that she may be the most important featured player right now.
Are you doing topical Preakness analogies?
That's all I do. I'm known for my topical Preakness analogies. Absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and on the ongoing cameo count, let's start the counter with Maya Rudolph at 1.
Okay, let's get into monologue, and here comes Andy Samberg for final monologue of the season.
Yeah, I mean, first it was the obligatory letting us know that Justin Timberlake is not there, which I thought the look like photoshopped card from Russia was a cute way to acknowledge it, but good to set up. We're not going to see him again, but we are going to see cameos. We're going to see his old friends coming back.
Now, is Justin Timberlake actually in Russia?
He is on tour. I was told that he is on a world tour right now, which is why I was told to not expect to see him in the season finale. Okay,
so now, no Justin Timberlake. Did that bum you out when we found out no Justin Timberlake? Was like, oh, or was like, okay, well, at least that's out of the way.
Yeah, I think that, I was good to sort of cover it. I was surprised we didn't see him in a digital short, as I said last week. So, surprised that okay, what are you going to do?
Okay. So, Andy Samberg is talking about the record of impressions. I guess, what is he? He was 23 less impressions than Bill Hader?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So, to break that record.
Okay, so to break the record, here comes Seth Meyers. Rich, were you pumped up to see Seth Meyers back so soon?
I mean, the guy didn't have to put shoes on to do a cameo. I mean, he's working, I think, 2 floors above, so it's fun to see him
Probably
back.
Not on a Saturday.
Yeah, I would hope that he's, for that show, I'd hope he'd put in a couple out, maybe a half day on Saturday, come in to at least answer some email, do some photocopying, maybe clear off his desk, something. So, yeah, but it was fun to see him. Good. And really, the funny thing is, when Seth Meyers was on the show, we would never see Seth Meyers in a monologue. So it was fun to see him show up. Interesting that he showed up, but then did not show up at Weekend Update in a cameo, which I think probably out of respect for Colin Jost. But yeah, fun to see him. Fun to see them do their little impression run.
By the way, Rich, are you watching the Seth Meyers show?
You know what I do? I watch. The nice thing about having the hundreds of hours of TiVo space, we record all the late night shows every single night. And I would say I'm more likely to watch Seth Meyers than almost any other late night network show. Sort of pop in and see what's going on. I like it. I think he's good.
Okay. So, what did you think of Andy Samberg trying to do a bunch of impressions?
I thought it was fun. I thought, I hate that the monologues are always written so last minute and they're so slipshod. I thought this was really fun to see just a rapid fire, list of impressions. He's better at impressions when it's 4 lines. So, I thought real fun way to kick it off.
I thought it was not that great. I did not love it, Rich, because I just felt like anybody could do impressions that he was doing. I would rather see impressions done well than half-assed, like, one-sentence impressions.
But I ask you, would you have rather seen half-assed one-sentence impressions or a song?
Okay, well, I guess that's right. What was the best impression from Andy Samberg?
I can't even remember, which obviously tells you a lot. I can't remember what his best impression was. I don't think any one impression was particularly great. Maybe the chat room will remember something that stood out. I don't remember.
I think my favorite was Alf's dad. That was the best, and I feel like that's not a high bar when Alf's dad is the best impression that you do.
Yeah, that's a pretty low bar, exactly.
Now, at what point did you know Bill Hader was going to pop in?
As soon as Andy Samberg said, well, because Bill Hader is not here to defend his record, I'm going to break it tonight, which was the semaphore flag, SNL complete, telegraphing. No, that means the person absolutely is here. When they tell you that they're not here, that means they are here. So I immediately knew we were going to see Bill Hader.
Okay, so Bill Hader comes out and he does a couple of quick impressions. He does Casey Kasem, and what was the other one he did?
Well, he did Andy Samberg, which I thought was hilarious. I liked that a lot.
Okay. Well, I would have loved to have seen 10 impressions from Bill Hader. It was such a tease to get 23 lousy impressions from Andy Samberg and then just 2 impressions from Bill Hader.
Yes, I agree with that. If there was a way to write it so that we could have flipped it, I would much rather have enjoyed just a string of Bill Hader. Just give me one line of Alan Alda and I'm happy.
Yeah, that would have been good. Anything else from the monologue?
Just got to see Martin Short come on.
Martin Short too.
What a huge waste! I mean, Martin Short didn't get to do anything funny, and Martin Short I think is one of my favorites of SNL. Just a monster of SNL. So fun to see him, but unfortunate that we didn't get to see him do anything fun. So.
All right, Rich. We are through the monologue here.
And through the monologue, our cameo count, we are now up to 4. 4 cameos.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go to the first live sketch of the show, and let's call this Camp WICAWABE?
I'm going to say yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right. First live sketch. Yes.
I just called it the Girlfriends Talk Show prequel. I think this is our characters from the Girlfriends Talk Show when they were 10. That's kind of what it felt like.
Okay, so this is Adie and Kate McKinnon here, so it's no Cecily for the fake Girlfriends Talk Show.
Right.
And so, what did you think of the Camp WICAWABE sketch?
Boy. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was cute. I think, unfortunately, we will see it again. I felt it was just so derivative of the Girlfriends Talk Show format that I was a little bored by it. I would say, for me, the actual sketch itself was saved by Kate McKinnon's performance as a 10-year-old. It felt like we got to see a new side of a Kate McKinnon character that we haven't seen, variations of before. So I really liked it. Made me laugh when they were playing with the pine cones with googly eyes. But as soon as Andy Samberg came in, through no fault of Andy specifically, I was completely bored.
Yeah, I've wrote in my notes, I thought it was much more cute than it was funny to have the basically 10-year-olds doing the talk show. I liked Kyle Mooney, though. I thought he was funny as, like, the 6-year-old band leader.
Yeah, very. I mean, talk about cute. That was definitely the super cute. Him just doing the what was it? Arts and quaffs. Very, very silly. Very, very, very super cute.
Did any of the things that Andy Samberg was doing disturb you, Rich?
I feel like I know we've seen the character of Andy Samberg wearing braces before. I can't tell you what character it was, but so even though it was technically a new character, it didn't feel like it. But yeah, the fact that it went on as long as it did was probably the thing that disturbed me a little bit.
Do you think they were eating real ice pops?
Yes, I do think so. I used to love.
Why didn't they melt? I felt like that they lasted an incredibly long time.
That's just because the writing of the sketch made it seem like 90 minutes, that you thought the force of room temperature would have melted the ice, but in the 3 minutes of the actual sketch, or 4 minutes, it stayed fine.
I want to take some live questions and comments from you guys along the way. Christine Radis says, the impression of the dad from Alf was spot on out of all the other impressions he did. So Christine agrees with me. Alf's dad was the impression of the night.
Hunter in the chat room reminded us that his Paul Giamatti was okay.
Yeah.
I do remember that was cute.
Rich, Mike Bloom has a ding, marry, kill for you, okay?
Okay.
Abby Elliott's Zooey Deschanel, Noah Wells' Zooey Deschanel, or Andy Samberg's Zooey Deschanel?
Well, you certainly got to marry Abby Elliott's Zooey Deschanel impression. I think that Abby Elliott does a better Zooey Deschanel impression than Zooey Deschanel does. So that's definitely in the marry. But it's a good one. I guess you gotta ding Noel Wells' impression and kill Andy Samberg's. I didn't think Andy Samberg's was even funny in a silly way. It was only funny that he was doing it, but I didn't find it to be in any way inventive.
Yeah, well, they're Fox buddies. He can do that.
Yeah, fair enough.
Okay, so then let's go ahead and talk about the first digital short of the night, Rich. When will the bass drop?
Oh, it could not drop soon enough for me. That was my take on that. I thought, and this was interesting for me in that, did you have the experience, and I ask everyone who's in the chat room as well, that for some reason this did not feel like a digital short. For some reason, I couldn't tell you why. I know now why, but I couldn't tell you why at the time. But there was something about it that just didn't feel digital short in its tone, in its like pacing or something. Did you feel that?
Well, what I would say is that I felt like they should have switched the order. I felt like the other digital short was better, and that felt like more like something that should have been done before update, whereas I felt like this one was a little more weird and should have been towards the back of the show.
Yeah, I definitely agree. What I found out afterwards doing my research is that this digital short was written by the Lonely Island guys, but directed by Matt and Oz, the two of the in-house directors who do a lot of the work. I don't know that they've ever directed a digital short before. So my guess is that the Hugs, which we saw later, was probably shot and edited in Los Angeles many weeks ago, and this was done in New York, with obviously the whole cast, and Akiva and Yorma did not come out for it. And that explained, not saying that it was worse, but it definitely it didn't feel like a digital short to me. And I thought it was kind of like whatever. I thought it just kind of went on. I was, I guess we were supposed to be waiting for the bass drop, and I was waiting for the whole sketch to be over. It was odd to see almost the entire SNL cast in an SNL digital short. So that was an interesting thing to see.
Okay, so did we get any cameos in the When Will the Bass Drop?
Yes, we had Lil Jon showed up.
Was Kristen Wiig in there? Because I thought I saw her.
I don't remember seeing her, but she could have been. But I didn't think she was. I'm not sure.
Okay.
So,
anything else on When Will the Bass Drop?
The only moment that I thought was beautiful was after the bass drops and heads start exploding left and right, we have the oddest non sequitur cut of Taryn and Kate McKinnon tied up to a post Indiana Jones style, and him screaming to keep her eyes shut. I thought that was beautiful. I love those non sequiturs. The rest of it, whatever.
That was funny.
Yeah. And with Lil Jon, the cameo count, we're now up to 5.
Oh, I didn't know you were counting non-SNL cast members too.
Oh, sure, sure. I mean, Lil Jon on SNL, that's a cameo.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's go ahead and let's talk about the next sketch of the confident hunchback, Rich.
Yeah. So here's my first question. This sketch starts beginning, and who's thinking, uh-oh, is Deirdre back already? Is this going to be another Deirdre sketch? As much as I like Deirdre, I was really, really nervous about that.
Well,
But
just like what you said with the Deirdre sketch last week, where they were like showing you like the cutaway during the commercial, and you were saying like, is anybody sitting there thinking that's actually going to be funny? And
yes.
I thought the same thing of like, oh boy.
Yeah, this was a. I mean, I like that Andy Samberg is the competition hunchback. He's coming in hot, coming in hot. But I liked the writing of this sketch because I thought there were a lot of fun puns, but it just felt like a string of jokes. I will say I really liked this. I really liked the fact that they kept it short. This was a very short sketch, which is how it should be.
Yeah, I really disliked Confident Hunchback, and I was really confused as to why this was pre-update when I felt like there were some of the things that we're going to get to that probably felt like they should have been pre-update.
I agree with you. This was odd placement for me. I think that they just thought it was short, it was fun, it was high energy. Maybe because there was a lot of costumes involved that they did it before musical guests, so just the technicality of it that everybody could change during St. Vincent. That's a good question. I don't know, but all right.
Okay. So yeah, I say thumbs down on the Confident Hunchback.
Oh, absolutely, thumbs down for me on this one.
Okay.
I did want to mention someone in the chat room, and now I just blanked on who said it. The one thing I was thinking of Andy Samberg and braces was Shy Ronnie.
Shy Ronnie, right.
Shy Ronnie from the Digital Shorts wore braces, and I'm suddenly blanking on who it was that said it to us, but thank you for whoever said it.
Okay. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's talk about some St. Vincent, and let's bring in our musical correspondent, James Keast from Exclaim Magazine. And so we're going to have him come on now and talk about that. Rich, had you been aware of St. Vincent at all before this?
Well, considering I referred to St. Vincent as he at the end of last show, I think that's a pretty good giveaway that I had not. I was happy to say I did not know that St. Vincent is the stage name of 80s actress Jamie Gertz. So it was fun to see Jamie Gertz doing
music. Is that a cameo?
Music.
A cameo?
I think so. Can we count that? I'd love to count that. Yeah.
All right.
But, no, I knew nothing of St. Vincent before last night.
Nor did I, but I know that James did, and James was pumped up for St. Vincent, right?
I was certainly pumped up for St. Vincent. Could possibly be my favorite musical guest of the year.
Whoa! Why? What was so great about St. Vincent?
I just think she's really terrific. I thought, she writes really interesting songs. It's very rare to find a woman who can shred on guitar better than pretty much anyone. And unusually, I thought that she really took advantage. I mean, there's not a whole lot you can do with the stage, and I thought she really took advantage of what options she had in terms of presentation. The stage was really cool, even though it was super minimal, but also I thought they really put a lot of work into the lighting design. They really added a lot to the performance. It made it seem really dynamic and not just a band performance. And I don't think that enough artists really sort of think about either they just come on and do their thing and they have the stage that they have, or they try to bring their whole their own stage production and try and cram it onto the stage. But I thought she really took the space and took advantage of it.
James, one question, because you know them. When you talk about the set design that they did, do they usually perform in large public bathrooms?
They have, in fact.
I do. Yeah.
Okay, because that's what it looked like. They were performing in the Grand Central Station men's room. So good for them.
She's actually done a couple of shows at big gallery spaces. She's quite connected to the art world, and so it did seem very art gallery, the whole thing, from the weird silver hair and the minimal presentation. It had a very art school vibe.
Yes.
Okay. Well, between the two songs that she did, which one did you prefer?
I thought the second one was really the catchier, more accessible one. But considering that the first lyric, so the second song is a song called "Birth in Reverse," and the first lyric of "Birth in Reverse" is, "Oh, what an ordinary day. take out the garbage, masturbate. So they may have thought, oh, we'll leave that for the second song. Maybe if there are still young people up at midnight, we'll maybe not put that first.
Yeah.
But
well, I can't relate to that song because, I mean, I would never take out the garbage first thing in the morning.
And certainly not before masturbating.
Yes.
I mean, you just got your priorities wrong.
Yeah.
Usually, once I've masturbated, the first thing I need to do is take out the garbage before anyone else comes home. So that does seem like an odd order. Yes.
So the one thing that's sort of notable about St. Vincent is that there's a very kind of early 80s art rock kind of vibe to what she does, and she has a lot in common with the Talking Heads, who are, of course, a New York-based art rock band from the late 70s and early 80s. She actually made an album with David Byrne a couple of years ago called Love This Giant, and they toured together, and you can really tell, you could really hear kind of David Byrne's influence, not only in her songwriting, but I think also in her sort of style and presentation. If you've ever seen the Talking Heads concert film Stop Making Sense, that idea of the sort of oversized but spare presentation and playing with space, I really felt like that was kind of coming off in how she was presenting herself. And then I just loved all the little touches, like the little hand choreography and the freeze at the end of the first song. You know, your band's got to be pretty tight and pretty well rehearsed to be able to pull that off in a live setting like that. So I was generally really impressed.
All right, James. Well, thank you very much for your take on St. Vincent. Were you working on a ranking of the musical guests for the season?
I was working on it, and then I realized I was going to have KIMYE #1, and I realized he was the last guest of season 38, not the first guest of season 39. So yeah. I would have to say on my top would be St. Vincent, Janelle Monáe from the fall last year. I really loved. I thought she was really fantastic. And I don't know who the third spot would be. Maybe Drake. I thought Drake was
Miley
really good.
Cyrus and get it over with. You know you love Miley Cyrus.
I thought it was Coldplay. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, James.
I would like to predict that we will see Beyonce for the season premiere in the fall.
Host and musical guest.
Possibly host and musical guest. I don't know if she's ever done any acting. I would say maybe host, but at least musical guest. She hasn't been on the show since 2008, and Rihanna's been on 4 times since then.
Okay, what are you forgetting about? Gold member Austin Powers?
I forgot about, of course.
Yeah. Okay.
I, like many, have forgotten about Gold member.
I love Gold. All right, James. Thank you so much. Okay.
I'll talk to you in the fall.
All right, take care. Follow at Exclaim Editor on Twitter, James Keys. Thank you so much, buddy.
Thanks, guys.
All right, bye. Okay. Rich, were you surprised that we went back to the Beyonce after the Bajancy only 2 weeks ago?
Well, I think they had to. I think they had no choice. I think, had they not done a Beyonce sketch, it would have felt like they missed on it. I was actually surprised that there wasn't a callback to the Bajancy. I really thought, like, what could SNL do different that no one else has done, which is you could have done a sequel to the Bajancy with Solange Knowles running from the Bajancy. To me, that would have been maybe not hilarious, but at least very different.
Does it feel like we missed, like we made a mistake on the Bajancy more to not incorporate Maya Rudolph as Beyonce with that?
I don't know if that was a good Beyonce or just a fun Beyonce.
Yeah, I don't know if Maya Rudolph does good impressions.
Nah, I mean, I think she's a
little bit of a Keenan, yeah, yes. In that all of her impressions are like her Beyonce and her Oprah. I feel
very
like really
similar.
It's like yes. She has like lipstick on as Oprah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's talk about Weekend Update and final Weekend Update of the season. And so let's talk about, Rich, did you have any jokes in particular that stood out to you?
The only one I liked was I shouldn't say this. I liked a lot of them. I thought it was a fairly well-written episode. The one that I liked is when they talked about that there were a lot of proms going on tonight, and Cecily said, "So if you're watching this live, oh, I'm sorry, buddy." That really made me laugh. I like that a lot.
That was a good joke. Mike Bloom mentions, what's your opinion on the Fire Colin trending on Twitter the last few weeks? Personally, I think he was fine as a Seth clone, but this showed the producers they need a new formula to succeed. What do you think about that, Rich? Is there, do you feel like there's a grassroots movement going on online to fire Colin?
I feel like anyone who can, put a Twitter hashtag to a complaint becomes a movement if the press needs something new to write about. So, I don't think there's any. I mean, of course, Colin will come back next year. I think you just got to give him time. I think he's doing fine. I think it's harder for him to get out of the Seth shadow because they have such a similar physical appearance, and their mannerisms are a little bit sort of, similar. But I think he's absolutely fine. I think he delivers a fine joke. I don't think that Seth delivered jokes markedly better than he does. And I think him and Cecily need better chemistry, but that just comes from time. So I'm very thumbs up on the return of Colin next year.
What did you think of the veteran New York stand-up comedian Bruce Chandling? And is it time to put Bruce Chandling into the Weekend Update correspondent power rankings?
I hope not. I'm assuming he's the son of New York comedian Nicholas Fame. They're very, very similar in their approaches to things. That was kind of rough for me. I find that to do sort of the alternative comedy of it's making fun of comedy and how bad comedy can be is such a tough tightrope to walk. I don't think that he did it. I got excited towards the end when he sort of got really sort of sad, talked about how he thinks he was ugly, and I like when he was talking about how the Grim Reaper is knocking on my door, and I kind of want to answer it, but it didn't go anywhere. They just kind of gave it up and then just sort of turned it back and said, "What do you think about vacuums?" or whatever. So
yeah, that part cracked me up. I loved that turn. Like I was sort of like, okay, but then when he was talking about the Grim Reaper.
That was great. I like that they went that dark and that Cecily really kind of played and like, hey, do you need someone to talk to? Like but they didn't actually have a payoff to it. They just kind of like, and we're back again as a button. So, I'm good. I'm good on Bruce. I wouldn't mind if Bruce got the red light for me.
Yeah, I don't know. The back half saved it for me, and I felt like if we can explore that more, I feel like I'd give him another shot.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, and then as you predicted, Rich, get in the cage with Nick Cage.
There we go. Our cameo count's going up with Mr. Paul Rudd. Absolutely.
Okay. What's that, 6?
We are now up to 6, exactly.
Okay, what'd you think of Get in the Cage with Nick Cage?
I thought it was having not seen it for 2 years, it was really fun. I mean, this was a repeat. Again, this was Mad Libs. We're doing every single... So my question to you is, how am I not in that movie? It's got all the elements of a Nick Cage movie. Blank, blank, and blank. It's got, all the same Mad Lib, structure, but very well written, and he's great as Nick Cage. It's such a fun character. I would say... I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, now, did it bother you that 2 weeks in a row,
yes,
the Weekend Update correspondent calls Colin Seth? Now, would it bother you more or less if a next season is continued and this was a thing and everybody that comes in calls Colin Seth?
Yeah, no, I was about to say exactly that I think doing it once is funny, doing it twice, it's almost making it a thing, which I don't think that they want to do. I thought it was lazy writing or something else is going on there, because it was weird to do it twice in a row, and I think to make it a joke would be very odd. To make it a runner would be really kind of sad.
Could that be a Samberg improv, and maybe he didn't see the show last week?
It was a little too, the way that it was written about him being a younger, more youthful Seth. My guess is he wrote this sketch, is my guess, I don't know this, that he wrote this himself or maybe with Akiva Yormer or someone in Los Angeles and had written that as a joke, not knowing Bobby Moynihan was going to make the same joke last week, and decided to keep it in because he had a nice runner to it. That's my guess.
They didn't do that in dress rehearsal?
No. I'm sure they noticed it and just were like, nah, okay, no, it's a bit. What are you going to do?
Okay. All right.
I could have stopped it. But him yelling at Paul Rudd, "Don't sass me, clueless," was one of the funniest things of the night. That was great. Yeah.
Let's go into the next sketch. Speaking of Paul Rudd, here come the Vogel checks.
Yeah, this is a strange one to come back. I mean, in the prior to this, we had, I think, 5 Vogel check episodes, and Samberg was only in 2 of them, and in both of them, he had very small roles.
And Paul Rudd hosted this year, and they didn't do Vogel checks, right?
Yeah, it was very strange. It was a really odd thing. I don't know what was going on. So. It was a weird, like, kind of high school reunion. Like, we're just getting the band back together to do a sketch. Very odd, very odd. Not that it wasn't fun, because it's always a fun, silly thing to see the performance. But I don't know that I would say it was necessarily good, but it was definitely fun.
So, all right, so we have the Vogel checks, and I thought this was really fun. We had, they played into the Michael Sam thing, which was at least they tied it to a current event, which they've never done before. And so, do you want to take us through some of our additional people that show up here?
Sure. So we start out with the mom and dad Vogel checks in every sketch, Fred Armisen and Kristen Wiig. Which, by the way, thank God they did the Vogel checks after Weekend Update. If this was early in the show, it would have ruined it for me, because I would have been deathly afraid we were going to have a Garth and Kat sighting at Weekend Update. So I was so relieved. I saw them like, oh, no, wait, we already did the update. Okay, good. We're not going to get a Garth and Kat. So Fred Armisen and Kristen Wiig come in and feeling like major league player, just stopping by the minor leagues to do this sketch. Very surprising. And then Bill Hader, who we've seen already, reprises his role as the older brother to Paul Rudd. Although in this point, for some reason, we're now saying Andy Samberg is also one of the brothers, even though he played Paul Rudd's friend. Before that, he was a homeless guy, so whatever. And then Maya Rudolph coming in at the very end as a character that maybe we've seen before. I'm not even sure, but still did quite a funny piece.
Well, were you relieved, though, that they decided to do Vogel checks with all these people and not do Californians?
Yes, trust me, that ran across. Like, at least we're not bringing back the Californians for no good reason.
I don't know. With Samberg, I don't know if he was ever involved.
I don't think he was ever in an episode of the Californians. But
we got Hader, you got Fred Armisen, you got Kristen Wiig.
Yeah, no, I know. That's a power trio. And they did have Fred Armisen cracking, just openly laughing. I don't know if Bill Hader goosed him towards the end or if it was that he was mumbling and sort of parodying Fred's lines. But whatever he was doing got Fred going really hard.
Yeah, it seemed like they were in a close-up of Fred Armisen, and then they pulled back to the wide shot, and Bill Hader is, like, laughing about something, and Fred Armisen is totally broken. I wonder if, like, Bill Hader, like, pinched him.
Yeah, I wonder. And, again, if you're going to bring back that many people, at least it's great to see them having fun. So the energy of this sketch was really fun. And Maya Rudolph at one point was doing, like, Milton Berle. I loved it. It was when she was giving CPR and she's playing with Kate McKinnon's chest, and just a lot of physical comedy, a lot of boinga boinga, blah, 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 very, very silly. Just really fun, really silly, really fun.
Yeah, very, very funny sketch, the Vogel checks. I don't understand why it wasn't before Update. I don't know why they didn't switch this. Like, I felt like this should have been the first sketch after the monologue. And then if you want to do the camp sketch in second, and then get the Hunchback out of there.
Well, I think that you have a hard, and we're going to talk about this a little when we get to Wake Up with KIMYE. At this point, we're now at 8. The cameo count is at 8 at this point. I think if you do this sketch early on, you kind of have to use these people in a lot of other sketches. So I think it was probably a decision made of like, well, we can't have all these people show up, right after the monologue and then not see them again. You could never have done the camp sketch, or you couldn't have done the Hunchback sketch. Knowing that this many alumni are in the house. So I think that's probably why they moved it later into the night.
Michael Rivera in the chat room says that Fred Armisen waved his arms as he emphasized some line and accidentally slapped Bill Hader in the face. So that's what allegedly happened.
Thank you, Michael, for that cap. That makes total sense. Very fun. Yeah.
Okay. So you want to talk about KIMYE and the farewell to Nassim here?
Yeah, as I said, I think the biggest thing, and I just mentioned it about this sketch, was at this point in the show, I'm waiting for the next cameo. I'm waiting for the big someone to come on, whether it's someone new or whether we get, a classic character from one of the alumni that we haven't seen yet. Are we going to see, Whitney Houston? Are we going to see, what can I think of the haters, the political, I'm blanking on James Carville or someone. So it was odd to see a sketch that didn't have any cameos in it. And I thought, as I've said before, and I know that this is me slamming Nassim, and I don't mean to do it, I really don't miss. I don't think I'm going to miss this Kim. I don't think this is much of an impression. I think this is just Nassim doing a squeaky voice and a dumb girl character much more than it is a Kim Kardashian impression. So I thought it was fine. It was cute, but I sort of felt like there was not much to it.
Nassim not exactly getting the Kristen Wiig send off.
Yeah. Now, they haven't acknowledged openly that she's leaving. I mean, she's a lead cast member in a network sitcom produced by Lorne Michaels, so, shooting in Los Angeles, I believe, I'm pretty sure. So, I don't think we're going to see her again, but who knows? But they definitely did not, even in the goodbyes, there was no anything about her, so who knows what's going on there. That was very strange.
Anything strike you from Kim and Kanye morning show?
No, only that I did like I liked Kanye's wedding tuxedo, the Batman-inspired all-leather tuxedo. That did make me laugh.
What about Taran Killam as Bruce Jenner?
A very funny one-note joke. They did a nice job of it, but they didn't go anywhere with it, so I got a little bored by it.
Okay, and then, Rich, what about in our next sketch? It's the return of the Blizzard Man. I bet you didn't have that in your pool of characters that were coming back.
Yeah. Wait. Well, we've got a couple before.
I'm sorry. I skipped my notes. So the digital short.
I think we have the next digital short. I think we had Hugs next.
Okay, Hugs.
Yes. Now this felt like a digital short. This clearly, to me, from the very beginning, from Tatiana Maslany in London. Why, I don't know why, but her. But by the way, if people haven't watched Orphan Black, very, very good show. Doing, Andy and Yorma back together, sort of recreating their heyday of Jizz in My Pants. Doing a true digital short. I thought this was really good, probably one of the better digital shorts that we had seen in a while, because as you all know, I was very down on the last season of digital shorts that we saw. Kind of sagged in the middle a little bit, but then Pharrell Williams I thought, brought it back to life towards the end when we got into sort of him hugging your mother. So definitely a very catchy one, very fun one.
Yeah, it was a good song. It was good production, and I feel like it was cute, but again, not hilarious.
Yes, yeah, definitely cute. I like the idea that you can't hug a Rolling Stone. I like that was their little catchphrase for that. Very odd that, as you said before, I thought this one was so much more catchy and fun and reminiscent of classic digital shorts that it was very odd that this one didn't come first.
Yeah, I don't get that. The order was just very confusing overall in this episode.
Yeah, so I know in a lot of people counting cameos, I will take indignant to alum, albeit mostly a writer, Jorma Taccone not getting his alumni count as a cameo. I say that Pharrell and Yorma both count as alumni or as cameos because of him being an alumni. So that puts our cameo count at 11.
Goes to 11. Pharrell all over SNL this season.
Yes, yeah, with the Pharrell hat joke in the opening monologue as well.
Okay, so then let's go ahead and let's talk about the Blizzard Man, Rich.
Wait, do we have Legolas? Was that next? Legolas tries to order a Taco Bell?
Yeah, it was so short I forgot about it. Legolas tries to order a Taco Bell.
Yeah, which I think there's not much to say. I thought this was actually really funny. I thought that they made the timing, the amount of time they spent on this was just right. It was like 3 gags and we're out. Bobby! Bobby shows up, did a really great job ordering a Taco Bell. Fun Jay Farrow, and then we're out. So in, out, fun, silly premise, love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was just fine. I'm not a big Lord of the Rings guy, but they kept it short.
Yeah, very fun. Good button. It was good. And then we get to the return of Blizzard Man.
Of all the sketches,
I've got 2 words to sum up this sketch. I think you know what they are. Oh, boy. Like, when we were trying to think of characters that he did live, it is telling that none of us remembered Blizzard Man, because I think, like, the same hormone in women's bodies that make them forget the pain of pregnancy so that they will have more children, I have that hormone around Blizzard Man so that I would not hate Andy Samberg. I have never liked this sketch, and I continue to never like this sketch, despite the actual fairly decent acting job of 2 Chainz.
You don't like it when he sings a rap song,
I probably giggled the first time I saw it, 7 years
ago.
In
2005, yeah.
Exactly. I so did not see this day. And it really is so sad that there's no effort to, like, all right, what spin could we put on the last third of the sketch, the last 4 lines of the sketch, to sort of evolve the sketch to something different. Nothing at all, which was really just a huge miss for me.
Okay, well, very, very sad about 2 Chainz.
Yeah, but it does put our
Wasted.
final cameo count at the night at an even 12. We had a dozen cameos this week, which is probably a record.
And then, Rich, we have the final sketch of the season.
Yes.
BVLGARI watches.
BVLGARI watches. Yeah, it's, I would say, for me, I don't know about you, this is our 6th time that we're seeing our former porn stars. There are times that I love this sketch. There are times that I really think it's a miss. This is probably, for me, a very mid-pack sketch. It was of those 6. There was nothing to not like about it. But it did feel, again, it's so Mad Libsy now. It's just the same thing over and over again. They leaned a lot harder on the mispronunciation of words than they normally do. I like these 2 characters. I like the ladies. So it wasn't the worst, but I feel like maybe we are, as a sketch, we are running out of puns.
Yeah, I thought that they were fine. I thought that Andy Samberg and Kristen Wiig were the weak spots of this sketch.
Yeah, I mean, I like the fun that Kristen Wiig was clearly having. It almost felt like in the dress rehearsal someone else did this sketch at like Bill Hader or Seth Meyers or someone, and at the last second they decided to just make themselves laugh and throw Kristen in at the last second with a mustache or something, because she just seemed just seemed so silly. So yeah, okay. I would say I think we're done with the porn stars, but every once in a while they do hit a home run, so I suspect we will see them again, and I'm okay with it.
Okay. And then, Rich, of course, we get to the goodbyes.
Yeah, very short on TV. Again, my always huge thanks to whoever in our chat room had teed us up that Hulu shows the entire goodbyes. I would say watching them, everyone very excited for the season finale. I would say for the most part, you didn't see a lot of the alum mixing and saying goodbye or congratulating the current cast. Definitely, oh my God, what was it? Seth Meyers, an exception, but for the most part, even Hader and Wiig and definitely Maya kind of just keeping to themselves. Didn't really do too much. Or saying, so odd kind of old school, new school, seniors versus freshmen going on the stage.
Yeah, I want to talk about that more in our season wrap-up podcast that we're going to do. And I especially feel like people like Bobby Moynihan, I think, are stuck between generations.
Yes. Yeah, very much sort of, didn't have a lot to do this week, and where does Bobby fit these days? That's a good question. Same with Taryn. I feel the same with Taryn and Vanessa.
Yeah, we'll talk about this in our recap show. I want to talk about the people who had down years, the people who were the who had surprising seasons that came out of nowhere, and who we think are really on the bubble going into the off season.
Yeah, exactly. And I would say, just to set the stage for that, I think we had 4 people, 4 featured players this week who did not appear in the show. We did not see Brooke. We did not. I mean, not counting the cameos in the digital short, but on live thing, we did not see Brooke. We did not see Noelle. We did not see John Milheisner, and I think there's one more.
No Mike O'Brien.
No Mike O'Brien. So not a good sign for those people who are hoping that their contract is going to be renewed over the summer.
Yeah, and if we say in the recap show that we don't think somebody's coming back, don't tweet them and say we said that they're not coming back.
And I'm not saying that they shouldn't come back. I'm not giving my opinion. I'm saying I would be if I were their agent, I would be concerned. But that doesn't mean I don't love and adore them.
Yeah. All right.
Some of them.
All right. Well, Rich and I would love to know what you guys think in the comments of this video, and then sometime next week, stay tuned. We'll let you know when our season recap show is coming. So I've got a very busy podcast night ahead of me. We've got to run. So thank you to everybody, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.